Okay, I think we're going here. Before I start, I want to make a disclaimer. My roommate is yelling in the other room, but these walls are thin, so if you hear anything, just completely disregard that. Um, Hi, today with my book talk, I'm going to be talking about Animal Farm by George Orwell. This is a book I read a while ago in middle school, and it's one I just more recently revisited because I think it's such a great story, and it reminded me that this was a pulled slash banned book because I had recently watched a YouTube video going over all the most banned books throughout the world. So I'm kind of glad to be having this discussion because I'm currently kind of into that subject right now. But yeah, I found Animal Farm to be a great selection because it deals with a lot of our history as not only a nation but as a world. And yeah, I'll just get into the plot and I'll kind of go through things as we go. I almost skipped around there. Um, so Animal Farm follows a group of animals that live on Mr. Jones' farm, and these animals can talk to one another. We're kind of living within their language, and they pretty much come up with a plot to overthrow Mr. Jones in order to live in a on a farm where all animals are equal. I will say no more to not get into spoilers or anything. I mean, if you've read it, you know what happens, but it is all just one kind of large commentary on communism, on capitalism, socialism, everything. But that's kind of my 2 to 3 sentence summary for you. But getting into a passage that I really like and that I think is kind of serves more so as like a microcosm for the story as a whole. Follows here. I believe it is on page 3. I chose to start off early because in these early pages, you're looking to establish those themes and you're looking to draw in your adolescent kind of audience. And I thought this was a really good paragraph for that very audience. Here it is on page 3 by George Orwell. Now, comrades, this is Major speaking. This is a pig who has kind of gathered all of these different animals and is giving a speech to them. Here it goes. Now, comrades, what is the nature of this life of ours? Let us face it. Our lives are miserable, laborious, and short. We are born, we are given just so much food as will keep the breath in our bodies, and those of us who are capable of it are forced to work to the last atom of our strength. At the very plan, at the very instant that our usefulness has come to an end, we are slaughtered with hideous cruelty. No animal in England knows the meaning of happiness or leisure after he is a year old. No animal in England is free. The life of an animal is misery and slavery. That is the plain truth. So, gosh, I mean, it's a super loaded passage, but I think it sums up kind of the argument that Major is making here to all the animals, and I think it's just a very captivating, again, like kind of microcosm for the story as a whole, and I think it's really going to draw in that audience because it's kind of dealing with themes that kind of darker themes that who knows they may have seen or learned about within history. This is like a really good book for kind of that adolescent age group because at least when I was reading it in middle school, I found that I was actually drawing on historical connections to a piece of literature. I was like, how are these two running parallel? Who does Napoleon represent in the story? Who does Snowball represent? Who does Major? Who does Boxer represent? And that those are kind of the reasons I really like it. Kind of in that light. On the subject of the implications of it being pulled and banned, and this is something I also learned in the video I watched, was that it was banned in the U.S. for being too pro-communist. This came out during like the Red Scare, like nobody wanted anything to do with communism, and it's very interesting that it was kind of interpreted that way because I see it a lot in the language. The pigs and the animals call one another comrades. That's kind of like their the group that's kind of their title they use for one another. So the comrades is very is heavily associated with communism, and just the way they want all animals to be equal. They don't want the working man, I guess would be interpreted as Mr. Jones, to be completely overthrown like that. It's interesting that it was interpreted in a anti-communist light when in the other part of the world, near Soviet Russia, it was banned there because it was not communist enough. So here you have two different nations, one claiming it's too communist and the other saying it's not communist enough. Because, I mean, it is making critiques of communism because it eventually, not to be too spoiler heavy here, but it does eventually collapse into a dictatorship. Um, so I think the implications that kind of come along with that are fascinating. And that's just, yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to kind of draw on it because the history and how it kind of aligns and parallels with this work absolutely astonishes me. To kind of wrap things up, though, I would say if you're anybody who loves history, is kind of a history buff, want to see um, pieces of work that were kind of and almost initially seen as like works of propaganda, kind of up close, and that it feels like it's a portal for the times. If you're anybody that's into something like that, but can also see it as a just a wonderful story about the critiquing our ways as humans. If you're into anything like that, I would totally recommend Animal Farm by George Orwell, and really anything by George Orwell. But yeah, this is my book talk. Thank you so much. I think I went a bit over time, but sorry about that.